Right. Hello, everyone. This is my third and final rendition of the Florida ecology ecosystems. This is an overview of the springs, Blackwater River, and beach/dunes ecosystems that we visited with the class. First up, we have the springs at Blue Springs State Park. This was a really beautiful park with very cold water, but I'm glad I got in because we got to see some really cool stuff. The landscape is clear, cool water that flows from the aquifer year-round. It has these dense aquatic plants and algae that support many fish and invertebrates, although we didn't see that many plants in this spring. And it has stable temperatures that create habitat for turtles, amphibians, birds, and mammals year-round, particularly in the winter months. In the plants, first up we have buttonbush in the genus Cephalanthus. They have spherical buttons that are actually hundreds of tiny flowers packed together, and each protruding stigma contributes to that spiky look that we see on each button, and it is one of the most water-tolerant woody plants in the southeast. American elm is next, Ulmus americana. This used to be the dominant tree in eastern North America, although Dutch elm disease almost erased the species. I believe it is currently endangered right now. Seaside brookweed is a Salmonus parviflorus. It is a flood-tolerant herb that thrives on pond edges and saturated soils, as you can see by the habitat there, perfectly describing that. And it is one of the first plants to recolonize disturbed or newly exposed wetland margins. Narrow-leaf sunflower, Helicanthus augustifolius. It is also known as the swamp sunflower, and it often forms large colonies that turn entire wetland edges yellow when in peak bloom. You could just imagine uh, hundreds of these flowers right here, that bright yellow. Really beautiful stuff. American coinwort, Centella erecta. This is a small creeping wetland herb found in marshes, pond edges, ditches, and moist flatwoods. The leaves are round to kidney shaped with those scalloped edges that I use to be able to identify the species. For the animals, first up we have sailfin molly. This is a highly salt-tolerant fish. It allows for populations both in freshwater and coastal habitats, which is great because it provides important foraging for wading birds, larger fish, and generally aquatic predators. And these are definitely the most densely populous organism in the springs for sure. These guys were also pretty common. Copper-nosed bluegill. This is a subspecies of bluegill found throughout the southeast, potentially in parts of Mexico as well. And it is noted for its deeper blue and purple coloration on the lower jaw and face area. The long-nosed gar, definitely my favorite fish find of the springs. It is an ancient native predatory fish with a fossil lineage of over 100 million years old. Very ancient fish. Um, it is recognized by its extremely long snout and it's pretty narrow as well. As you can see, it looks kind of like a pencil there. Um, and it can gulp atmospheric air, which is pretty unique. It allows the animal to survive in warm, low oxygen waters. This is another one that can gulp air, although I don't like this guy nearly as much as the last one. This is a sailfin catfish. I believe there are around three species of this genus that have established in Florida, each one more invasive than the last. They heavily erode riverbanks and strip vegetation, and they are a big problem in springs as well. The Florida manatee is a subspecies of the West Indian manatee, is endemic to the southeast, particularly common in Florida's springs, rivers, and coastal waters. And it relies on warm water refuges in winter, particularly natural springs and power plant outflows, which is really interesting. The peninsula cooter, Pseudomys peninsularis, its natural range is restricted to the Florida peninsula, as you can tell by its name, and it is recognized by its elongated shell and bright yellow striping both on the head and legs there. The next ecosystem is the Blackwater River. This was at Econlocahatchee. Really cool place, although we didn't see too many animals. I wasn't one of the few that saw the bear, unfortunately. Um, so the Blackwater River landscape is formed when rainwater drains through forests full of decaying leaves, and that contributes to that dark tea-colored water that comes from tannins. It is naturally acidic, clear, and low in nutrients, and this ecosystem supports specialized plants and animals that are adapted to low nutrient and low light conditions. First up is the bald cypress, Texodium disticum. It is an iconic wetland tree. It produces these knees, as you can see, and I'm pretty sure we all, at one point or another, got stuck on these knees. And these projections helps with stability in saturated soils, and it might also contribute to oxygen exchange. And these are extremely flood tolerant species, as you can see by the photo there. Under that is a mushroom. Actually, we have the felted twiglet, Tuberia conspersa. It is a small brownish mushroom commonly found on decaying wood, bark, and leaf litter. And the gills are pale to brownish and attached directly to the stem on this mushroom, which is how I was able to determine the species. The slender yellow wood sorrel. This is a small herb with clover-like leaves and bright yellow multipetaled flowers. And it produces upright seeds capsules that explosively release seeds when touched, which is really cool. This guy is not so cool, the common water hyacinth. Um, this is a free-floating aquatic plant with a thick, spongy leaf base, making it pretty efficient in these river ecosystems, and it's unfortunately considered to be one of the world's most invasive aquatic plants, particularly in Florida. Here we have the cabbage palm, which, believe it or not, I have not included yet in any of my presentations. Sable palmetto. This is Florida's state tree and one of the most common native palms in the southeast. They're extremely hardy, tolerating salt spray, flooding, drought, and hurricanes. And I wanted to include this photo because it's pretty cool. This is of a decayed cabbage palm, and there's grass growing on it, which was really, really cool. The grass has colonized the top of this dead cabbage palm. Under it is alligator weed. Again, not so cool plant. This is an invasive aquatic and shoreline plant originally from South America, and it spreads aggressively by fragmentation, so a small piece of this can break off and just colonize a new area, which is very annoying. This is a shelf fungus, a newly emerged one at that. That's why I wasn't able to identify it further than family. Ganodermatacea. It is a family of tough, woody bracket fungi known for forming large shelf-like conchs on trees, and it causes white rot. This family is one of the main fungi that cause white rot, and it contributes to tree declines, unfortunately. But something unique about this family is that fruiting bodies are perennial or long-lasting, often persisting on trunks for years. So this guy will likely be alive next year and possibly the year after that, which is crazy to think. Um, Now, in the animals, this is the Eurasian wild boar, Sus scrofa. It is a large omnivorous pig native to Europe and Asia, but it is very invasive across much of the US. Their rooting behavior disturbs soil, vegetation, and wildlife habitat. It causes major ecological damage, and they can carry many diseases that affect wildlife, livestock, and even humans sometimes, which is unfortunate. Very destructive animal. This is a stretch spider, belongs to the genus Tetranatha, and this is a slender orb-weaving spider that is found in wetlands. I can't tell you the amount of times I've had these guys in my boots, but they don't tend to bite. They're actually, I've never been bit, and I've definitely touched over 100 of these guys. Um, they often cling to stems with their bodies stretched out straight to blend perfectly with vegetation. So, really, really good at camouflaging amongst vegetation, and they are crucial in controlling midge and mosquito population in wetlands. Um, this I could only identify to the family. It is a family that includes herons, egrets, and bitterns. And not sure exactly what it is, but I have some suspicion that it is likely a little blue heron, if not a snowy egret or a green heron, just based on the size and the imprint depth here. Here we have the last ecosystem. This is the beach and dune ecosystem from Smyrna Dunes Park. Beautiful ecosystem, definitely my favorite one. And I know I think I say this every time, but this one really is, it takes the cake as my favorite ecosystem that we've gone to. And the landscape is shaped by wind, waves, and shifting sand that consistently remodels the shoreline. They're dominated by the hardy, salt-tolerant plants that we saw, and they help stabilize the dunes and trap sand where it is. Um, and the dunes are marked by strong gradients in moisture, salinity, and exposure, and it provides habitat for shorebirds, specialists, and other wildlife adapted to the harsh coastal conditions here in Florida. Bitter panic grass, Panicum amaratum, is a tough coastal grass common on dunes and sandy beaches. It spreads by rhizomes, which in turn helps stabilize shifting sand on the dunes. And it is, again, really important for dune formation and early succession on those coastal landscapes. Next, we have partridge peat. This is an annual legume often found in open, sandy, or disturbed habitats, and it is a very important nectar and pollen source for bees, particularly in coastal environments. Sea oxeye is next. It is a salt-tolerant perennial shrub. Its thick, succulent leaves help it handle salt spray and drought, as you can see by the photo here, very thick leaves. Next up is southern wax myrtle, Morella cerifera. It is an evergreen shrub or small tree common in coastal dunes, and it has aromatic leaves and produces these waxy berries that are eaten by a lot of bird species. A spotted horsemint, Mandara punctata, is an aromatic mint with stacks of pale bracts and spotted flowers, and it contains the compound thymol, giving it a strong medicinal scent and antimicrobial properties. And under that is false golden aster. I wasn't able to identify this past the genus, Hetero Heterotheca. It is a genus of hardy yellow-flowered asters. Water pennywort in the genus Hydrocotyle. It is a genus of small creeping water-tolerant plants with these round umbrella-like leaves. Under that, we have the genus Cladophora. This is a genus of green algae, and they form these dark or these dense mats that are pretty slippery. I slipped on these guys a couple times, and they thrive in highlight, nutrient-rich, wave-exposed coastal zones. Lastly, in the flora, we have firewheel. This is a coastal wildflower with bright red and yellow daisy-like blooms. Really beautiful flower, and it thrives in the dune habitat there, the sandy and nutrient-poor soils. Now are the animals. First, we have the genus Menipe. This is a genus of large coastal crabs that includes the famous Florida stone crab. And they are found around rocky areas, reefs, and oyster habitats. And they're known for their powerful claws. As you can see here, they have pretty powerful claws, and they use them to crush mollusks. Next up, we have sanderlings. This is a bird species, Calderis alba. They are fast running shorebirds, common on Florida beaches. I choose to believe that these two are a happily married couple. And they are known to chase waves back and forth while probing the wet sand for invertebrates, which is exactly what these guys were doing here. I caught them mid-run. And they are highly migratory, traveling from the Arctic breeding grounds into coasts all over the world, including Florida, which is crazy. These little birds traveling from the Arctic all the way to Florida. Here is the mangrove tree crab, which unfortunately you can barely see, but it's right there. These are commonly found on red, black, and white mangroves, sometimes washing ashore on driftwood, which is exactly the case with this guy. I think there was three on this log. And it feeds primarily on mangrove leaves, but also scavenges small invertebrates like little shrimp and stuff like that. Keyhole sand dollars. This is from the genus Amylida. It is a genus of sand dollars common on sandy beaches and shallow coastal waters. And as you can see, this one was pretty beat up. Here we have the cannonball jelly, one of my favorite finds. Really cool jellyfish. Has a rounded, firm bell with a smooth, uniform shape and short oral arms. And it feeds by filtering plankton while swimming near the surface. I threw this guy back. Hopefully he made it, but who knows? This one was, I believe, almost dead. This was a pinfish. These are recognized by their rhombus-shaped body and sharp dorsal spines. As you know, Zach got pretty terribly spined by this guy. He was bleeding quite a bit. And it is an important foraging fish for larger predators and staple species in seagrass and estuary habitats. This was hands down my favorite find of the beach. Southern puffer, a very alive one at that. I ended up throwing this guy back. Beautiful fish. These guys inflate their bodies when threatened, which is, of course, classic pufferfish defense. And this species contains tetrodotoxin in its tissues, making it poisonous if consumed. Under it is the horse paper wasp. Polistes major is a subspecies, and it has these bold yellow and dark mandings, giving it a striking appearance, at least compared to other paper wasp species. The tidal spray crab, it's this beautiful crab right here. It is a flattened intertidal crab, often found on rocky shorelines and jetties. And they are known for hitchhiking on floating debris and even on sea turtles, which is crazy. So they have a pretty wide range. The bruised nassa is a small mud snail common in estuaries, mudflats, and sandy shallows, and they're recognized by their compact shell with these fine ribs and that distinct brown pattern. This is the lightning whelk. It is a large left-handed whelk found along the eastern US, and it is predatory. It feeds on bivalves and other mollusks. Below that is the dwarf surf clam, Molinia lateralis. It is a small, thin-shelled bivalve common in sandy and muddy coastal habitats, and it tolerates a wide range of salinities, making it pretty successful in specifically estuaries. We have the Atlantic calico scallop here. These are brightly patterned fan-shaped shells, and they are pretty variable. They come in red, orange, and yellow, although they tend to find them in this pink color. And they are free swimming. I've seen videos of these guys clapping to escape predators as they do. Really cool animals. And lastly, we have the false shark eye. This is a predatory moose snail species that is found in coastal habitats, and it hunts buried bivalves by drilling neat round holes through their shells. And these are all the shells I found. Each one of these are a different species. And I found 29 in total, so I'm pretty happy with that haul. And these are my citations. Thank you.